Breaking Down the Art of Spending Money. Simple Choices for a Richer Life by Morgan Housel. Chapter 1. Understanding money is personal. When you think about money, the first thing to understand is that it's not just numbers, it's deeply personal. Everyone has a unique story with money, shaped by their upbringing, experiences, and even their fears. One of the biggest takeaways from this chapter is that what feels like financial sense for someone else might not work for you. And that's okay. Morgan Housel emphasizes that personal experiences often matter more than textbook logic when it comes to money decisions. For me, this chapter was a reminder that comparing your financial choices to others is a trap. I've noticed how easy it is to look at someone else's lifestyle and think, I should be doing that. But that ignores your personal priorities, goals, and values. Money isn't just about wealth accumulation. It's about the life you want to live. A strategy that works for one person can feel suffocating or pointless for someone else. Housel also touches on patience and perspective. He makes it clear that people often underestimate how long it takes to build wealth and overestimate how much they need to be happy. The real power comes from making decisions that align with your own life, not someone else's. So my takeaway, stop chasing someone else's idea of financial success. Define what enough means for you. Focus on spending and saving in ways that bring you satisfaction and peace of mind. Understand your habits, confront your biases, and make money work for your life, not the other way around. That's the first step toward a richer life, literally and mentally. Chapter 2. The Power of Spending on What Matters. This chapter hit me with a simple but powerful idea. Money spent thoughtfully can give you freedom, happiness, and clarity, but wasted money just disappears. Morgan Housel talks about how most people focus too much on what they could have instead of what actually brings value. The key takeaway? Spend on things that matter to you, not what impresses others. It's easy to get caught up in appearances, fancy cars, the latest tech, or keeping up with social media lifestyles. But Housel makes it clear that this kind of spending rarely adds real satisfaction. I took this personally, reflecting on times I bought stuff just to look successful. Sure, it felt good for a minute, but the joy vanished fast. What sticks is spending on experiences, learning, comfort, and things that actually improve your life. Another insight from this chapter is the difference between price and value. Expensive doesn't always mean better. Sometimes, the cheapest option that serves your purpose perfectly is far more rewarding. And conversely, something pricey might feel like a waste if it doesn't align with your priorities. Money, in this sense, is just a tool. It's how you use it that counts. My takeaway: be intentional with your spending. Ask yourself, will this actually make my life better? If yes, go for it. If not, skip it without guilt. Focus on quality, experiences, and freedom over status signals. When you start thinking this way, you stop feeling deprived and start feeling in control. That's the difference between spending money, truly investing in your life. Chapter 3. Enough is a choice. This really hit me because it challenges one of the hardest truths about money, knowing when enough is enough. Morgan Housel points out that so many people chase more money, more stuff, more recognition, without ever stopping to consider if it actually makes them happier. The problem isn't money itself. It's the endless comparison and the mindset that says, I'm never satisfied until I have what they have. For me, this chapter was a reality check. I realized how often I've measured success against someone else's standard rather than my own. There's a huge difference between ambition and insatiable desire. Ambition drives growth, learning, and self-improvement. Insatiable desire just breeds stress, envy, and waste. Housel emphasizes that the first step toward financial peace is defining your own enough and being honest with yourself about it. Another important point he makes is about lifestyle creep, the way spending naturally rises with income. Without awareness, your enough keeps moving, and suddenly you're back in the same cycle of wanting more. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. It's not about settling, it's about taking control over your choices. My takeaway: define what enough looks like for you, your ideal life, comfort level, and freedom, and build your financial decisions around that. Stop letting society, peers, or social media dictate your goals. Once you identify your enough, every dollar becomes a tool, not a trap. Money then stops being stressful and starts being purposeful. And honestly, that mindset alone can make life feel richer immediately, even before you hit any financial milestone. Chapter 4, The Psychology of Spending. This one dives into something most people overlook: the way our minds shape how we spend. Morgan Housel makes a key point. Money isn't just numbers, it's emotion. Our decisions are influenced by fear, pride, envy, and habit, often more than logic. Understanding this is huge because it explains why smart people sometimes make dumb financial choices. What hit me most was the idea that we rarely spend money purely rationally. Think about it. A purchase often feels good because of the story we tell ourselves, not the object itself. Housel points out that we buy confidence, status, comfort, or nostalgia disguised as things. Recognizing these hidden drivers helps us take control instead of letting impulses run our wallets. Another takeaway is that patience beats impulse. It's tempting to buy now, especially with instant gratification everywhere. But delaying that purchase, asking yourself if it really aligns with your values, often leads to better outcomes, both financially and emotionally. I found this particularly relevant to experiences versus things. Experiences often leave lasting satisfaction, while material stuff fades fast. Housel also emphasizes self-awareness, knowing your triggers, patterns, and what genuinely brings satisfaction. It's less about strict budgeting and more about understanding why you spend the way you do. Once you do, you can design spending habits that actually serve your life instead of draining it. My takeaway: money mastery isn't just math, it's psychology. Start noticing your emotional spending, question the stories behind your purchases, and spend with intention. When you align your spending with your true priorities instead of impulses or appearances, every dollar works harder for you. That's when money stops being stressful and starts being a tool for freedom. Chapter 5, The True Cost of Debt. This cuts straight to the reality of debt, and it's one of those things that feels obvious until you really think about it. Morgan Housel emphasizes that debt isn't just about missing payments or interest rates. It's a psychological trap. Even when the numbers seem manageable, owing money adds stress, limits freedom, and subtly changes how you make choices. What struck me is how easy it is to underestimate the impact of debt on your life. You might be able to handle the monthly payments, but being tied down limits options, opportunities, and flexibility. Housel points out that financial freedom isn't just having money, it's having control. And debt eats away at that control, even when it seems worth it in the short term. Another key idea is distinguishing between good debt and bad debt. Good debt, like a mortgage on a home that appreciates or an investment in yourself, can be a tool. Bad debt, credit cards, high-interest loans, or buying stuff to impress others is a trap. But the line between them is often emotional. Many people convince themselves debt is fine because it feels normal, not because it actually serves their life. For me, this chapter was a reminder to be honest with myself about what I owe and why. It's about more than numbers. It's about peace of mind and freedom. Every dollar spent on interest is a dollar that could have gone toward experiences, growth, or security. My takeaway: treat debt like a leash, not a tool. Use it carefully, consciously, and sparingly. Avoid emotional spending that leads to bad debt. When you live mostly debt-free, you gain not just financial flexibility, but a mental clarity that money alone can't buy. That's real wealth. Chapter 6, Mobbing's Freedom Over Fancy. This is all about saving, and Housel drives home a simple truth. Saving isn't just about money, it's about freedom. Too many people think saving is boring, a sacrifice, or a means to some far-off goal. But Housel points out that real value in saving isn't just accumulating wealth. It's the options it gives you in life. Money saved equals choices, independence, and peace of mind. What hit me here is the mindset shift. Saving isn't about restricting yourself. It's about giving yourself the power to make decisions without stress. Even a small buffer can completely change how you handle life's uncertainties. I've seen people stress constantly over unexpected costs, all because they prioritize spending on appearances over saving for real freedom. Housel's point is clear. Wealth isn't flashy. It's the quiet, unnoticeable flexibility that allows you to live life on your own terms. Another big takeaway is that saving works best when it's habitual, not forced. You don't need a huge, exact number to feel secure. What matters is consistency. Even moderate savings, compounded over time, create enormous freedom. And unlike spending on status or things, saving rarely leads to regret. Housel also reminds us that happiness isn't in how much you accumulate. It's in knowing you're prepared for life's ups and downs. My takeaway: treat savings like an invisible shield, not a goal you dread. Focus less on showing off and more on building resilience, flexibility, and control. Every dollar tucked away is a vote for your future freedom. The real luxury in life isn't buying more. It's being able to make choices without pressure. That mindset alone can change how you view money and life. Found Chapter 7, Spending with Purpose. This is all about intentionality. Morgan Housel emphasizes that the difference between wealthy and just rich-looking people often comes down to purpose. Spending without thinking is easy. Spending with intention is rare. This chapter made me reflect on how often I or anyone can buy things without really asking why, and how much more satisfying it is when every dollar aligns with a goal or value. The key point is simple. Money should serve your life, not the other way around. Housel points out that happiness doesn't come from buying more, it comes from buying what matters to you. Experiences, skills, and memories almost always provide more lasting satisfaction than things. I found myself thinking about times I splurged on items that quickly lost their luster versus trips, learning opportunities, or moments with friends and family that I still value deeply. Another important lesson is avoiding spending as a way to impress others. Social pressure is everywhere, and it's easy to think that buying the latest tech, car, or fashion item somehow signals success. But most of the time, it only creates a temporary sense of satisfaction and a lingering cost. Housel emphasizes clarity. When you spend for yourself with purpose, the return is far greater. My takeaway: before any purchase, ask yourself, does this truly matter to me, or am I following someone else's script? If it matters, go for it. If not, skip it without guilt. Intentional spending transforms money from a stressor into a tool. Every dollar becomes a decision that strengthens your life, not a distraction that weakens it. That mindset is the foundation for building a richer, more meaningful life. Chapter 8, The Illusion of Control. This dives into something we all think we have: control over money, but often don't. Morgan Housel points out that no matter how smart or disciplined we are, there are always forces outside our control: the economy, markets, unexpected expenses, and life events. The key lesson is not to obsess over controlling everything, but to focus on what you can control: your choices, habits, and mindset. For me, this was a big reminder. It's easy to stress about every financial decision, trying to predict the perfect outcome. But Housel shows that trying to control what's uncontrollable often backfires, causing anxiety and poor choices. Instead, real power comes from controlling your response, your preparation, and your spending priorities. You can't stop a market crash, but you can build a financial buffer, avoid unnecessary debt, and spend deliberately. Another important takeaway is humility. Life is unpredictable. Accepting that uncertainty is part of the process allows you to make smarter, calmer decisions. Housel emphasizes resilience over precision. It's better to be prepared and adaptable than perfectly right all the time. This applies not just to investing, but to everyday spending too. The more flexible and intentional you are, the less stress money brings. My takeaway: stop trying to micromanage life or chase perfect financial control. Focus on the things you can influence: your saving habits, your spending choices, and your long-term priorities. Build buffers, stay flexible, and let go of the illusion that you can predict everything. Mastering this mindset turns money from a source of stress into a tool for stability and freedom. Understanding control, or rather the limits of it, is one of the smartest steps you can take toward a richer life. Chapter 9: The Cost of Comparison. This hits a truth we all feel but rarely admit. Comparing yourself to others is expensive, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Morgan Housel points out that much of our dissatisfaction with money comes not from what we lack, but from looking at what someone else has. The problem is that everyone's life, goals, and priorities are different, yet we measure our success with the same ruler. For me, this chapter was a reality check. I've caught myself scrolling social media, seeing someone else's lifestyle, and feeling the urge to keep up. Housel explains that this comparison trap fuels unnecessary spending, debt, and stress. Buying things to impress others might feel good for a moment, but it rarely brings lasting happiness. True financial contentment comes from focusing on your own life and values. Another takeaway is that comparison distorts perception. People usually show the highlights, not the struggles or trade-offs behind their wealth. What looks luxurious from the outside often comes with sacrifices we don't see. Understanding this can protect your mindset and your wallet. Instead of chasing someone else's life, invest in what makes your life genuinely better: experiences, security, growth, and freedom. My takeaway: stop measuring your life against other people's snapshots. Define success on your terms and let that guide your spending and saving choices. Comparison is a silent thief. It steals satisfaction and encourages waste. When you focus on what truly matters to you, every financial decision becomes more intentional, freeing, and aligned with your goals. That's the real path to a richer life, both financially and mentally. Chapter 10: The Long Game Wins. And this is all about patience and perspective. Morgan Housel emphasizes that building wealth isn't about quick wins or flashy moves. It's about playing the long game. Most financial success comes from consistency, small decisions repeated over time, and resisting the temptation to chase instant gratification. This chapter made me reflect on how often people undervalue time and overvalue action. What really hit me is that compounding isn't just a math trick, it's a mindset. Small savings, thoughtful investments, and deliberate spending decisions may feel insignificant day to day, but over years, they create massive advantages. Housel reminds us that slow and steady often outperforms flashy, high-risk strategies. Wealth accumulates quietly for those willing to be patient. Another important point is perspective. Life is unpredictable, but staying focused on long-term priorities reduces stress and prevents panic-driven decisions. Short-term setbacks feel catastrophic if you measure everything by immediate outcomes. But when you see the bigger picture, you realize that minor losses or delays are just part of the journey. The key is persistence and resisting the urge to chase trends or impress others. My takeaway: treat money decisions like planting trees. The best rewards come years later, and impatience can ruin the results. Focus on consistent, deliberate choices that align with your life and priorities. Avoid shortcuts that promise fast results but carry hidden risks. Mastering the long game isn't glamorous, but it's the most reliable path to freedom and security. In the end, the quiet patience of compounding, financial, personal, and emotional, is what builds a truly rich life. Chapter 11. Happiness isn't in things. Housel makes a simple but powerful point here. Buying stuff doesn't buy happiness. We're conditioned to think that the next purchase, the new car, the latest gadget, the upgraded apartment, will make life better. But in reality, satisfaction from material things fades fast. What lasts is experiences, freedom, and the ability to live life on your terms. For me, this chapter hit home because it made me reflect on my own spending habits. I've chased items that promised excitement or status, only to realize that thrill disappeared within weeks. Housel emphasizes that people often underestimate the power of non-material investments. Time with friends, travel, learning new skills, or simply building financial security that gives peace of mind. These are the things that compound into real fulfillment. Another key takeaway is the difference between ownership and control. Buying something doesn't automatically give you satisfaction. What matters is how it fits into your life and whether it serves a meaningful purpose. That's why intentional spending, aligned with your goals and values, is so critical. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about choosing wisely. My takeaway: stop chasing objects and focus on experiences, growth, and security. Happiness isn't found in what you hold in your hands. It's found in the freedom, memories, and choices those dollars enable. Every purchase should either enhance your life today or secure your future, not just signal wealth or impress others. Shifting this mindset turns money from a source of stress into a tool for lasting satisfaction. Chapter 12. Wealth is what you don't see. This one really changes how you think about money. Housel points out that true wealth isn't flashy cars, designer clothes, or Instagram-worthy vacations. Wealth is what you don't see. The money saved, invested, and set aside for freedom and options. Most people measure success by appearances, but the quiet, invisible accumulation is what actually creates security and power. For me, this chapter was a wake-up call. I realized how often people chase status symbols to signal wealth, while real financial strength grows quietly in the background. Housel's point is clear. Spending to look rich often keeps you from being rich. True wealth is having choices, time, and independence, which only come from saving and avoiding unnecessary consumption. Another important takeaway is patience. Wealth isn't built overnight, and it's rarely dramatic. It's slow, deliberate, and invisible. That's why the temptation to compare yourself to others is so dangerous. It blinds you to the quiet work happening behind the scenes. Compounding, smart spending, and consistency all work best out of sight, without applause or attention. My takeaway: stop chasing the appearance of money and focus on building real, invisible wealth. Every dollar saved and invested is a vote for freedom, security, and flexibility. When you shift your mindset from showing off to building quietly, money becomes a tool, not a trap. Real richness isn't flashy. It's the peace of mind and freedom that come from having the resources to live life on your terms. That's the kind of wealth that lasts. Chapter 13. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Housel drives home a simple but critical idea. As income grows, spending often grows even faster. This lifestyle inflation is one of the fastest ways people sabotage financial freedom without even realizing it. Just because you earn more doesn't mean you need to spend more. It's about choices, priorities, and discipline. For me, this chapter hit close to home. I've seen how easy it is to raise your spending to match a higher salary, upgrading cars, apartments, or tech, even when it doesn't bring more happiness. Housel emphasizes that the key to lasting wealth isn't how much you earn, but how much you keep. Avoiding lifestyle inflation is about maintaining perspective, understanding what truly matters, and prioritizing long-term freedom over short-term status. Another takeaway is that restraint isn't deprivation, it's empowerment. Each dollar not spent unnecessarily is a dollar working for your future, whether through savings, investments, or experiences that matter. Housel also points out that people who master this concept consistently live richer lives, not necessarily in luxury, but in freedom and flexibility. My takeaway: every raise or financial windfall is an opportunity to strengthen your freedom, not a reason to buy more things you don't need. Ask yourself if your spending actually improves your life or just signals success. By resisting lifestyle inflation, you create a buffer that reduces stress, builds security, and gives you real options. Discipline in spending is where wealth quietly grows, and where you gain the freedom to live life on your own terms. That's the real power of controlling your habits, not just your income. Chapter 14. Freedom is the ultimate luxury. Housel makes a powerful point in this chapter. The real luxury isn't a big house, fancy cars, designer clothes. It's freedom. Financial freedom, the ability to make choices without being forced by money, is the ultimate marker of wealth. It's what allows you to spend your time the way you want, take risks, and live life on your terms. For me, this chapter was eye-opening because it reframes how we think about money. People often chase status symbols thinking they'll feel free, but those things can actually trap you. Big expenses, debt, and obligations can create stress, disguised as success. Housel emphasizes that wealth isn't about appearances. It's about control over your life and time. Another key takeaway is that freedom compounds over time, just like money. Saving consistently, avoiding bad debt, and living below your means all build more than just financial security. They build options. Every dollar not spent unnecessarily buys more freedom tomorrow. Housel also points out that freedom doesn't require extreme sacrifice. It's about making smart choices consistently and prioritizing autonomy over fleeting satisfaction. My takeaway: start thinking of money as a tool to buy freedom, not just stuff. Prioritize savings, avoid unnecessary obligations, and spend intentionally on things that truly add value to your life. The ultimate wealth isn't flashy. It's the peace, flexibility, and independence that come from having control over your time and decisions. Once you internalize this, your approach to spending and saving changes entirely. You stop chasing status and start building a life that's rich in choice, and that's priceless. Chapter 15. Spending should reflect your values. This chapter really drives home a simple truth. How you spend money is a direct reflection of what you care about. Morgan Housel emphasizes that every financial decision is a choice, and those choices reveal your priorities more than words ever could. Buying what aligns with your values brings satisfaction. Spending on what doesn't leads to regret. For me, this chapter was a mirror. It made me reflect on times I've spent money to impress others or chase trends rather than what truly mattered to me. Housel points out that this kind of spending might feel good in the moment, but rarely adds lasting happiness. Intentional spending, on the other hand, reinforces your life's priorities and reduces stress. It's a way to invest not just in your future wealth, but in your present well-being. Another key insight is that values-driven spending isn't about restriction. It's about clarity. When you understand what's important, the choices become obvious. You stop wasting money on distractions or societal pressures and focus on experiences, skills, comfort, and freedom that truly enrich your life. Housel also notes that aligning spending with values helps build habits that support long-term success and happiness, rather than short-term gratification. My takeaway: before you spend, pause and ask, does this reflect what I value? If yes, go ahead confidently. If not, skip it. This mindset turns money into a reflection of your life's priorities rather than a source of stress or comparison. Every intentional dollar strengthens your values and your freedom. Spending this way doesn't just make you richer financially, it makes your life richer in meaning. Challenge Chapter 16. Avoid lifestyle debt. Housel dives into an idea that hits harder than most people realize. Lifestyle debt. It's not just credit card balances or loans. It's the hidden cost of living beyond your means. When you inflate your lifestyle faster than your income, every raise, bonus, or windfall gets swallowed by obligations, leaving you less freedom, not more. For me, this chapter was a reality check. I've seen how tempting it is to upgrade your life the moment you earn more. A bigger apartment, faster car, new gadgets. But Housel emphasizes that these upgrades often come with invisible costs: higher insurance, maintenance, taxes, and stress. What looks like success externally can secretly trap you financially and emotionally. Another key takeaway is that avoiding lifestyle debt isn't about depriving yourself. It's about control. By keeping your spending in check, you maintain options, resilience, and peace of mind. Every dollar not committed to status spending or debt payments becomes a tool for freedom, flexibility, or future investment. Housel stresses that wealth grows quietly in the background, and the less you're tied down to lifestyle obligations, the faster and more securely it grows. My takeaway: resist the pressure to spend what you earn immediately. Instead, focus on building habits that prioritize freedom and flexibility over appearances. True wealth isn't flashy. It's quiet, consistent, and free of unnecessary burdens. Lifestyle debt steals control and happiness, while mindful spending reinforces both. Keep your life manageable, your obligations low, and your money working for you, not the other way around. That's the kind of financial discipline that creates lasting freedom and a richer life. Chapter C. Embrace financial flexibility. Housel emphasizes a point that's often overlooked. Flexibility is more valuable than fancy possessions or high returns. Having financial options, being able to say yes or no without stress, is the true measure of wealth. Flexibility gives you freedom, security, and the ability to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. For me, this chapter was a strong reminder that money isn't just about accumulation. It's about freedom of choice. Too often, people lock themselves into rigid financial patterns, chasing high-paying jobs or status symbols while sacrificing flexibility. Housel points out that a small financial buffer, consistent saving habits, and avoiding unnecessary commitments can give far more security than chasing the latest trend or investment hack. Another key takeaway is that flexibility reduces stress and improves decision-making. Life is unpredictable. Expenses arise, markets fluctuate, opportunities pop up. Those who have room to maneuver are better positioned to handle life's ups and downs. Housel notes that it's less about how much you make and more about how adaptable you are with what you have. My takeaway: focus on creating breathing room in your finances. Avoid overcommitment. Keep savings as a priority, and think about the long-term benefits of flexibility. Every dollar saved or wisely allocated is a tool that buys options, not just things. When you build your financial life around adaptability rather than appearances, you gain freedom, security, and peace of mind. That's wealth in its purest form. A life where you control the terms, not the other way around. And Chapter 18, the value of time over money. Housel makes a crucial point. Time is the most valuable currency, even more than money. You can always earn more money, but time is finite. How you choose to spend both defines the quality of your life. He stresses that financial decisions should ultimately be judged not just by dollars, but by the freedom and experiences they allow. For me, this chapter was a reality check. I realized how often people work long hours chasing money at the expense of time with family, friends, or personal growth. Housel emphasizes that money is only meaningful when it buys you the ability to spend time in ways that truly matter to you. Experiences, learning, and relationships compound value in ways cash alone never can. Another takeaway is the power of aligning spending with time. If something costs money but saves you hours, it may be worth it. Conversely, money spent to impress others or accumulate stuff often steals your most valuable resource, time. Housel encourages intentional choices, spending, saving, or working, in ways that increase both freedom and life satisfaction. My takeaway: start treating time as your most precious asset. Make financial decisions with an eye on how they affect your life hours, not just your bank account. Money should serve your schedule, priorities, and freedom, not trap you in work or obligations that don't align with your values. When you prioritize time over the illusion of wealth, you experience true richness, more joy, more freedom, and a life that feels fully yours. That perspective changes how you think about earning, spending, and saving every single day. Chapter Experiences Beat Things. Housel makes a point that's simple but often ignored. Experiences give more lasting satisfaction than material things. A new gadget, car, or designer item might feel exciting for a short time, but the thrill fades quickly. Experiences, travel, learning, shared moments stick with you, shaping your memory, relationships, and sense of fulfillment. For me, this chapter was a reminder to reevaluate my spending habits. I've noticed how easy it is to prioritize stuff that looks impressive over experiences that create lasting joy. Housel points out that money spent on experiences compounds in a different way than objects. It enriches your life and creates stories, connections, and personal growth that material purchases simply can't. Another takeaway is that experiences often make you richer socially and emotionally. They build relationships, confidence, and memories that last decades. Even expensive experiences can feel worthwhile if they align with your values and priorities. Meanwhile, items depreciate immediately after purchase and rarely create the same emotional return. Housel also highlights the importance of being intentional. Not all experiences are equal, and the ones you value most should get your attention and resources first. My takeaway: spend with an eye on life satisfaction, not status. Invest in experiences that make you feel alive, teach you something, or bring you closer to people you care about. Treat material purchases as secondary to experiences that enrich your life. When you prioritize this mindset, money becomes a tool for building a meaningful, memorable life instead of clutter and fleeting excitement. Experiences give your life richness that objects never can, and that's a lesson worth keeping front and center. And now, chapter 20. Control your own financial narrative. Housel emphasizes that your financial life should reflect your story, not someone else's expectations. Too often, people measure success using external standards, what friends, social media, or society think is rich or successful. The result is stress, unnecessary spending, and choices that don't align with your life. Real wealth comes from controlling your own financial narrative. For me, this chapter was a strong reminder that comparison is a silent thief. It's easy to get caught up in other people's accomplishments, purchases, or lifestyles, and let that dictate your decisions. Housel stresses that intentionality is key. Define what matters to you and let that guide your spending, saving, and investing. This mindset transforms money from a source of pressure into a tool for building the life you actually want. Another key takeaway is consistency. A clear financial narrative helps you avoid impulsive spending and poor decisions driven by emotion or societal pressure. Housel points out that success is rarely flashy. It's built quietly through choices that align with your own values over time. By understanding your priorities, you can focus on what truly matters instead of constantly reacting to external comparisons. My takeaway: take control of your financial story. Decide what wealth means for you, set priorities, and let those values guide your money decisions. Every dollar spent or saved should reinforce your narrative, not someone else's. When you stop letting others dictate your financial path, money becomes empowering instead of stressful. Mastering this principle is one of the fastest ways to build security, freedom, and the life that genuinely feels rich. Chapter 20. The Power of Small Choices. Housel makes a simple but profound point. Wealth and satisfaction don't come from huge, dramatic moves. They come from small, consistent decisions over time. Every minor choice you make about saving, spending, or investing compounds, creating outcomes far bigger than any single action could. For me, this chapter was a wake-up call. I realized how often people underestimate the impact of small habits, like saving a little extra each month or skipping unnecessary purchases. Those tiny decisions feel insignificant day to day, but over years, they define financial freedom and security. Housel emphasizes that consistency beats intensity. You don't need perfect timing or a big break. You need steady, deliberate choices that align with your life goals. Another takeaway is that small choices reinforce your values. Spending intentionally, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and saving regularly aren't flashy, but they build freedom, flexibility, and peace of mind. Housel also points out that over time, compounding doesn't just affect money, it affects confidence, habits, and your sense of control over life. The quiet discipline of small decisions often produces results that appear almost magical in hindsight. My takeaway: stop waiting for massive opportunities or perfect conditions. Focus on the small, deliberate actions you can take consistently. Each dollar saved, each unnecessary expense avoided, each intentional decision strengthens your freedom and your future. Small choices are deceptively powerful. They compound in ways that create lasting wealth, happiness, and control. Mastering these habits is where the foundation of a truly rich life begins. Chapter 22. Avoid the Comparison Trap. Housel circles back to one of the most important lessons. Comparison steals satisfaction. He points out that measuring your life against others' highlights is a fast track to stress, poor decisions, and wasted money. The truth is, everyone's circumstances, goals, and values are different. So why judge your success by someone else's standards? For me, this chapter was a stark reminder of how easy it is to fall into this trap. Social media, friends, and even family can make you feel behind or inadequate, pushing you to spend or take risks that don't align with your priorities. Housel emphasizes that the danger isn't just in the money spent, it's in the mental toll and the misalignment with your own life goals. Another key point is that comparison is often based on incomplete information. People showcase only successes and luxuries, hiding the sacrifices, struggles, and trade-offs behind them. Understanding this helps you step back and focus on what truly matters in your life. Avoiding comparison isn't just about resisting envy. It's about clarity, focus, and intentionality in how you spend, save, and invest. My takeaway: stop letting others define your financial path. Define success on your terms, aligned with your values and priorities. Spend consciously, save consistently, and measure progress by your own standards, not someone else's. When you escape the comparison trap, money becomes a tool for freedom, happiness, and control instead of a source of stress. Mastering this mindset is one of the most underrated ways to live a richer, more fulfilling life. Chapter 23. Invest in yourself. Housel emphasizes that the best investment you can make isn't stocks, real estate, or fancy gadgets. It's yourself. Skills, knowledge, health, and mindset compound over time, creating returns that money alone can't buy. The smarter and healthier you become, the more control and opportunity you gain in every aspect of life. For me, this chapter was a reminder that spending on personal growth isn't indulgent, it's strategic. Learning new skills, reading, maintaining health, or even cultivating relationships increases your earning potential, freedom, and life satisfaction. Housel points out that investments in yourself rarely lose value, unlike material purchases or status-driven spending, which depreciate quickly and often bring fleeting happiness. Another key insight is that personal investment fuels independence. When you're capable, knowledgeable, and resilient, you rely less on external validation or luck. You make better decisions, navigate challenges more effectively, and create more opportunities for yourself. Housel also stresses patience. The benefits of self-investment compound slowly but consistently, much like financial investments. My takeaway: prioritize yourself first. Spend time, money, and energy on developing skills, maintaining health, and growing your mind. Every choice to learn, improve, or strengthen yourself is a decision that pays dividends for decades. Treat self-investment as essential, not optional. When you do, you don't just increase your wealth, you increase your freedom, confidence, and ability to live life on your own terms. Investing in yourself is the most powerful, reliable, and satisfying way to build a rich life. Chapter 24. Avoid the trap of expectations. And Housel points out a subtle but powerful truth. Much of financial stress comes from unrealistic expectations, both your own and society's. People often plan their lives around milestones that don't match reality, or they compare their progress to an imagined standard. This mismatch creates frustration, overspending, and poor decisions. For me, this chapter was a reality check. I realized how often we set expectations based on others' lives or social media or success stories we hear about. Housel emphasizes that the key is aligning expectations with your actual circumstances and values. When you do, you stop chasing illusions and start making decisions that genuinely benefit your life. Another big takeaway is flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and rigid expectations can trap you. Housel stresses that the smartest financial decisions are adaptable, focused on maintaining freedom, security, and growth rather than hitting arbitrary benchmarks. By managing expectations, you can appreciate what you have, avoid unnecessary stress, and make choices that build long-term satisfaction. My takeaway: don't let external narratives dictate your financial life. Set goals that reflect your priorities, adjust as circumstances change, and focus on building habits that reinforce freedom, flexibility, and meaning. Expectations should guide your life, not pressure it. By doing this, money becomes a tool to create the life you actually want, rather than a source of stress or comparison. Managing expectations wisely is one of the most overlooked ways to build both happiness and wealth. Chapter 25. The Art of a Richer Life. Housel wraps up with a simple but powerful idea. Money is a tool, not a goal. A richer life isn't about accumulation for show. It's about using money deliberately to create freedom, happiness, and meaning. Everything we've discussed, saving, spending intentionally, avoiding comparison, investing in yourself, and valuing time, comes together in this final principle. For me, this chapter was the perfect summary. Housel emphasizes that wealth isn't a number in your bank account. It's the ability to make choices that align with your life, values, and priorities. True richness comes quietly, in freedom, flexibility, and experiences rather than flashy displays of status. This mindset changes everything. It transforms money from a source of stress into a tool for designing the life you want. Another key takeaway is integration. All the lessons: avoiding lifestyle inflation, embracing small, consistent choices, controlling your narrative, valuing time, and investing in yourself, are connected. They work best when applied together. Housel stresses that being intentional, patient, and reflective in financial decisions compounds, just like wealth itself. My takeaway: the art of spending and managing money is about purpose, freedom, and clarity. Every decision should reflect your values and priorities, and every dollar should strengthen your life, not distract from it. True richness is built quietly, consistently, and thoughtfully. When you internalize this, money becomes more than currency. It becomes a tool for designing a life full of meaning, freedom, and lasting satisfaction. The ultimate lesson: a richer life isn't about having everything, it's about having enough, choosing wisely, and living intentionally. That's the essence of what Housel teaches, and it's a mindset that changes not just your finances, but your life. The art of spending money teaches that true wealth isn't flashy. It's freedom, choice, and intentionality. Money should serve your life, not control it. Small, consistent habits, saving, spending wisely, investing in yourself, compound into real security and happiness. The main lesson: define what matters to you, spend with purpose, and prioritize freedom over appearances. When you do, money becomes a tool for a richer, more meaningful life. Thank you for listening.